Well, our soul is separated from our body. That's what death is. So your soul immediately goes in front of God, and you talk to God um, about your whole life. And some people say it's like watching a movie, but I'm sure it's something like watching a movie where it's just like it would be a long movie, but you understand everything what's happening completely clearly, and God just shows you what it was, and you won't be able to argue about it because you'll just see like well, that's what it was, and then at that moment you'll see and you'll know, and you will choose to go to the place where you deserve to go to, which is either hell, purgatory, or heaven. The really two choices are only hell or heaven, either good or evil. But heaven being so good and so pure, um, sometimes on your way up to heaven, for most of us, this is the case on your way to heaven, even though we've chosen the way of good to follow God, um, we may have not chosen it as well as we could have, should have, or paid for the sins that we committed along the way. So, out of justice, even we ourselves would agree after we die, we would say, thanks for letting me in, but I really, there's some things need to be paid for. And so that's what purgatory is. Jesus described it as being put in jail for a time, and you don't get out until you pay the last penny. St. Paul described it as going through a fire where everything that's not worthy of heaven gets burned away. And St. Paul says you'll experience a loss as those things get burned away. Things that you wasted your time on, things that are not going to be worthwhile to you in heaven that you wasted your time on earth gathering up or focusing on. So he described it as like wood or straw, stuff that's flammable. And the only thing that gets through is the gold and silver, which doesn't get burned up in fire. And gold represents your love of God, and silver represents your love of your neighbor. Those are the only things that get into heaven, the only things that count. Anything else you did that wasn't for those two reasons are going to be a loss and a waste for you.
Do you suffer in purgatory?
You ever put your hand in a fire? Yeah, so it apparently is quite painful. So the way that you experience the fire of putting your hand in a fire or something or getting burned, it is comparable to that apparently, because that's how St. Paul described it. So, or being in jail. If anybody's ever been in jail, it's quite a painful experience. Um, I've had the chance to work in jails a couple of times, and you see there's real pain there, but also it's a place where you have a lot of conversions, a place where people really take stock of themselves, people where they can make atonement or make amends for their sins. That's what jail is for. So so purgatory is like that. So it's a painful place, but at the same time, it's a good place. It's a good thing. And you're unhappy, but you're also happy, and even more so in purgatory because you know that you are going to heaven, and that gives you ultimate joy. So it is a place of joy and a place of happiness, more so than on earth, but also a place more painful than on earth. So it's both. We don't exactly know how that works because we're talking purely spiritual. Remember, at this point in purgatory, you don't have your body. So I think that's what makes things more poignant in a good way and in a bad way. Because on earth, we experience everything in our soul through our body. But there, we don't have the body to be like a barrier. So it just goes straight to your soul. So it just makes it more everything.